Early intervention in hearing, speech, language, and communication. Grounded in developmental theories and language foundations. Presenter, Dr. J. G. Padin CCC/SLP-MPH. Let's talk about the importance of early intervention. Early intervention enhances neural development during the brain's most critical period, improving long-term communication, cognition, and social-emotional growth outcomes. Why focus on infants up to age 3? The first 3 years are foundational for sensory processing, language acquisition, and social interaction, making timely support essential for optimal developmental trajectories. Addressing these prerequisites for older children with disabilities. When foundational skills such as attention, object permanence, and symbolic play are delayed, they must be explicitly addressed, as they serve as critical building blocks for communication, regardless of the child's age. This is especially important for children with developmental disabilities such as autism spectrum disorder, ASD, Down syndrome, hearing impairment, or intellectual disabilities, who may have missed or bypassed key prerequisites that impact their current communication abilities. Domains: hearing, speech, language, and communication. A comprehensive approach considers the interplay between hearing acuity, speech production, language understanding/use, and functional communication for holistic developmental support. Key developmental theories. Jean Piaget, Cognitive Development, Sensorimotor Stage. Noam Chomsky, Language Acquisition Device, LAD. Roger Brown, Mean Length of Utterance, MLU, as a developmental marker. Lev Vygotsky, Social Interaction Theory, Zone of Proximal Development. L. Bloom, 1980, The Categories of Semantic Relations. Piaget and Early Language Development. Sensoromotor Stage, 0 to 2 years Foundation for Symbolic Thought. Object Permanence, Cause and Effect, and Means-End Behaviors. Read the activities useful for developing this skill. Chomsky and Language Readiness. Universal Grammar and Innate Capacity. Language exposure is critical to activating LAD. Brown's MLU. Developmental Tracking Tool for Mean Length Utterances, MLU Milestones for Early Years. Fundamentally, expanding on child utterances. Vygotsky and the Social Foundation of Language. Describes language through social interaction, his theory of zone of proximal development, ZPD, scaffolding by adults/caregivers. Lois Bloom, 1980, identified semantic relations from 2 to 3 years old. Key categories of semantic relations. There are multiple semantic relationships. This is an example. Agent plus action, mommy go. These are the prerequisites for language development in speech and language therapy sessions. Attention, concentration, and focusing. Imitation, oral motor capabilities. Object permanence. Cause and effect. Means-end understanding. Localizing sound sources. Symbolic play. Therapy sessions are tailored to the child's specific challenges, with activities designed to stimulate and monitor responses. Repetition is a key component, facilitating the integration of targeted skills into the nervous system and supporting the development of cognitive linguistic abilities. Meaningful and relevant tasks enhance memory retention, promoting long-term learning and functional communication. Attention, sensory-rich objects, eye contact games, and visual contrast. Imitation, reduplication, such as bilabial sounds, onomatopoeic sounds, oral motor capabilities, myfunctional stimulation measuring intra-oral pressure, with temperature variations somatosensory vibrations, under the care of the SLP avoiding over counterproductive stimulation. Object permanence, hide and seek with toys. You can also use a box and toys to hide them and wait for the infant to look for them and discover. Cause and effect, pop-up toys, musical buttons or toys that react with vocal sounds.
Ba ba ba. Ga ga ga. Come on. I want to put it here. Ba ba ba. Ba ba ba. Ga ga ga.
The toys that respond to vocalizations and that have vibration allow the infant to start integrating that each action has a reaction, a fundamental principle for communication interactions. Means end, pull string toys, reaching for items. Stimulating sound localization through call and response activities using various sound sources to enhance auditory awareness. Symbolic play, activities such as feeding dolls and pretending with toy phones. As the infant's motor and cognitive skills develop, they begin to engage in imaginative play by imitating and pretending, using these foundational skills to represent aspects of real life. Let's start by saying that a child who cannot hear is a child who cannot speak. Integrating hearing support is essential in early intervention to ensure optimal speech, language, and cognitive development. 1. Early audiological screening and intervention. Detecting hearing impairments as early as possible allows for timely intervention, which is critical for preventing delays in communication and social development. 2. The importance of amplifying and responding to sound. Amplification devices, e.g., hearing aids and cochlear implants, help the child access auditory information. Consistent response to sounds fosters auditory attention, recognition, and eventual verbal expression. 3. Use of visual and tactile cues. These multisensory supports enhance comprehension and engagement, particularly for children with hearing loss, by reinforcing auditory information through visual and touch-based feedback. 4. Parent training on sound awareness. Educating caregivers on how to promote and respond to their child's auditory environment empowers them to create consistent opportunities for language learning and supports the child's overall communicative growth. These elements build a strong foundation for developing speech, language, and social interaction skills. Role of parents and caregivers in early intervention. Parents and caregivers are pivotal in fostering language and communication development during a child's early years. Their consistent involvement significantly enhances the effectiveness of the intervention. Daily routines as opportunities. Everyday activities such as mealtime, bath time, or play provide natural and repeated opportunities to build vocabulary, promote interaction, and reinforce learning in familiar contexts. Responsive communication. By recognizing and responding to a child's verbal and nonverbal cues, caregivers create meaningful exchanges that encourage turn-taking, joint attention, and engagement, the foundations of communication. Language modeling and encouragement. Caregivers model correct language structures and provide rich verbal input, helping the child learn how to express ideas and emotions. Positive reinforcement encourages continued attempts at communication. Involvement in therapy and home programming. Active participation in therapy sessions and consistent implementation of strategies at home ensure generalization of skills, accelerate progress, and strengthen caregiver confidence and competence. Overall, when caregivers are informed, empowered, and actively engaged, they become key facilitators of their child's developmental progress. Summary. Early years are critical for hearing, speech, and language. Early interventions should align with developmental theories, including activities that support foundational language skills. Never forget that this should always be a collaborative, caregiver-centered approach. This presentation has underscored the critical importance of foundational speech and language prerequisites in a child's developmental trajectory, particularly for children exhibiting global developmental delays. These early competencies form the cornerstone of effective communication and long-term cognitive linguistic growth. I am Dr. J.G. Padin, and I am dedicated to supporting both clinicians and caregivers in implementing evidence-based strategies that foster the development of speech and language skills across the lifespan. For further information or professional consultation, please get in touch with me at padinigabriel@gmail.com.